Good afternoon, and welcome back to Steps to Health 2021. We're glad that you have joined us again. We're having a little bit of a technical challenge here, and we apologize for delay. We're still working on the issues here. I also would like to welcome those who have joined us new today. This is the second of the four-part series that is under the theme of Healthier, Happier You. Steps to Health is a program that's developed by the teams at Chewelah SDA Church in Chewelah, Washington, where our mission is revealing Jesus who changes lives. We're located on Sand Canyon Road on the way to golf course, if you're wondering where we are located. I hope everyone made some positive changes to become healthier and happier this year. This is not meant to be a spectator program. This is a motivational program where our goal is to get you excited to make some positive changes. In our first session, last session 2 weeks ago, we presented the concept of New Start. I hope everyone remembers what New Start stands for. It's an acronym for the 8 basic principles of health. N for New Start, nutrition. E for exercise, W for water, S for sunshine, T for temperance, A for air, R for rest, and T for trust in God. If you have not started New Start yet, we encourage you to start it now. Some of you may wish to start with only few of them, perhaps the easiest ones like water and air. Making any change is a good start. When you see some results of making few changes, you want to make more changes. The Bible says in the 1 Corinthians 6:19 and 20, "What know ye not that your body is the temple of the Holy Ghost, which is in you, which ye have of God, and ye are not your own? For ye are bought with a price. Therefore glorify God in your body and in your spirit, which are God's." Did you know God had bought us with the precious blood of Jesus? That's how precious each one of us is in His sight. We're not free to do whatever we want to do to our bodies. We are to keep our bodies healthy so that our body and mind can be in the best possible condition, that we may discern God's will and that we can glorify Him in whatever we do. Let's have a short prayer before we start. Our Father, we thank you for this opportunity to get together and learn about our health. We pray that you bless our efforts in keeping your temple in the best condition possible. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen. We're offering this free DVD. It's titled Amazing Health Facts. It features New Start, the 8 basic principles of health. It is retailed for $6.95, but it's yours for free for asking. It is offered by the courtesy of the Three Angels Ministry in Chewelah, Washington. Write to us at stepstohealthchewelah@gmail.com. That's stepstohealthchewelah@gmail.com. You can write to us at the same email address for any questions, comments, or concerns you may have. We would like to have you actively participate in our program. Now, because of the technical issues, we're going to have to switch the order of things. We're going to have Brian Gentry demonstrate how to prepare salmon spread. Maybe he will give a little bit of his testimonial too. I don't know if it's in the program, but here's Brian.
Okay, thank you, A.G. I'm going to be demonstrating today what I call mock salmon spread, and it's just a quick, easy way to make a lunch ahead of time. And what we want to do here is we want to prepare our meals in advance so that we don't have to cheat later. So one of these things that I've learned about eating a plant-based diet is if you prepare ahead, you're prepared for success, but if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So it's one of the things that I like to do. So I'm going to start out with the recipe. It's a mock salmon spread, and it's very simple to make. Just follow me along as I make this. So what we're going to do is we're going to take 2 cups of almonds. Now I've actually soaked these overnight. We're going to put them in the Vitamix, and then we're going to take a cup of carrots. Put these in the blender as well, and some water. It's about a half a cup of water. And one of the things I've noticed is you can always add more water if necessary. We're going to give it a brief spin. Stir these up a little bit.
HDMI cable connector.
Okay, that's starting to go in there pretty well. And like I said, if I can do this, anybody can. So I'm not the master blender at these Vitamixes, but anyway. So now we'll add the rest of the ingredients. We're going to add some celery. It's about a cup of celery. Some onions. About a teaspoon of lemon, which I pretty much can determine about a half a lemon does that. Squeeze that in. And then the secret sauce on this is the liquid smoke. Just adding some liquid smoke in there. And then some paprika and some salt. I think we've got all the ingredients now that we need inside there. We just need to blend it up. Add a little more water. Whoa. Never do that with the top off. Only a guy would do that. And I think we're about done. That's pretty much it. Maybe a little bit more. It looks like it's got a little chunky in there. Nope. I think that's probably do. Okay. And those carrots gave it a nice pink salmon-like texture to it. And so what I like to do is I like to actually make this up in advance, put it in the refrigerator in a bowl, and then this is so easy to make, and it's got a nice smoky flavor. Pretty much take it now, and we can spread it on our bread or toast. Whoops. Don't let me in the kitchen. And I got to tell you guys, I used to eat hamburgers and pizza every day for lunch, and since I went on a plant-based diet, this is probably a little more healthy for me. What do you think? And at least that's what my wife tells me. And what's funny is 20 pounds ago, before I went on a plant-based diet, I actually, when I went to the doctor, my cholesterol was crazy high. My A1Cs were high, and my all the metrics for health were pretty much out of whack. And so pretty much the way that ended up is everything's pretty much in check now, and I feel much better. And this is kind of what it looks like when you finish it. I don't know if you can see this. So simple. Any questions? That kind of looks like a guy made that, doesn't it? It's just, and what I suggest doing is it's a real easy meal prep you can do and put it in the refrigerator, and that way when you want to pull it out and spread some on a sandwich. There's a great recipe in this. I got this out of 7 Secrets cookbook. The reason I like this cookbook is I know the person who wrote this cookbook. I actually spent a week with them in their seminar called a Living Better seminar, and they taught you how to cook plant-based food. So it's a great cookbook and a great resource. This is where it's. This is the catalog, the recipe book, and you can actually get it online at Amazon.com. I think there's been 100,000 of these sold, is what I was told. So it's in there as well. And there's an oat burger recipe, and a lot of times I'll get frisky and I'll stick an oat burger in between this. Instead of having an open face sandwich, I'll actually make it into like a hamburger just for. When I get the urge to have a hamburger, I'll eat an oat burger instead. Was there any questions that we had? Okay. Oh, liquid smoke. I think we'll have to get that at online. I buy it at Amazon, or I think my wife might get it at the Adventist Center. Was it hard for me to change my diet? I want to tell you, it's not easy. It really has to be kind of a heart change first that you've got, and of course some other circumstances that take place in my life. Like I said, the things that I had going on with me was pre-diabetes, mom having diabetes, a lot of health issues, cholesterol was through the roof, and so I had some issues that I needed to actually, health issues that I needed to work on. So that was part of the reason. But the real motivation to keep true to the diet is basically, for me, was I got it out of Daniel. And it was Daniel 1:8 says, Daniel purposed in his heart that he would not defile himself and eat from the king's table. Well, I got to tell you, every time I pass by the Zips, I try to picture that as the king's table. I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to let the car turn in that direction, because that's danger. And those hamburgers really cause your cholesterol to go up. Believe me, I've lived that life before. So, any other questions?
Are there really strong definite changes in your physical or your medication or whatever?
Well, that's a whole. I could write a book on that. Oh, okay. So, are you asking what changes have I made as far as medications and things like that goes? Oh, okay. Well, one of the things as far as medications go, I was on some heavy blood thinners because I was clotting all of my body with blood clots. And so, I mean, I had some serious issues that I needed to change. And from a health standpoint, this seminar that I went to, Jim Brackett's seminar, he's the one that wrote this. I keep promoting his book, 7 Secrets Cookbook, because he has a great full week seminar, a week seminar where he actually teaches you how to cook food, and he goes over how to reverse diabetes and reverse all this stuff and shows us the science behind it. So we spent some time in class to actually learn all this stuff. And it just all started to click for me that this is what I needed to be doing. God had me there for a specific purpose. And it wasn't just for head knowledge, it was for heart knowledge. And I think that's what I had to do, is purpose myself into my heart that I was going to make some changes. Okay? Oh, and as far as the medication goes, I was on some crazy blood thinners. I've actually been able to cut that in half. And I've been slow about doing that to try to make that a gradual thing. But I'm sure after time, when I start eating more better foods over time, I'm going to be off blood thinners completely. I know there will become a time where we're not able to get medicine, so I'm just trying to prepare for that in advance. And so I pretty much reduced my medication in half. I'm slowly weaning off. And of course, when I tell my doctor that, she's going to freak out, but that's okay.
What happened to your weight?
Well, 20 pounds ago, it went away. Yeah, I've lost about 20 pounds so far, which is great. And still keep going. I think the key to it is just 2 meals a day. I haven't been able to consistently do 2 meals a day. If I can just continue down that path, I see the weight come off. So that intermittent fasting actually works pretty well.
Oh, thank you very much.
Oh, sure. Okay. Mm-hmm.
All right. If anyone would like to get the recipe for this particular dish, you can write to us. That's steps to health, Chewelah @gmail.com. All right. We're still having Can you hear me? Okay. So today's presentation is practical steps to weight management, and it's presented by Hannah Tello. Hannah is a coach and fitness trainer for women. Her goal is to help women achieve optimal health at any age, physical, mental, and spiritual health, through evidence-based practices and behavior and habit changes, so that they can enjoy the activities they love and have confidence in exploring new activities and feel their best while doing it all. Even though she works with women, her message of her presentation, of course, is just as applicable to men as well. Hannah?
Now it's on? Can you hear me okay now? So I spent probably most of the day today working on my PowerPoint to bring it to you guys. And now I was debating whether or not to do a PowerPoint anyways. So I guess this is the answer. I don't really need a PowerPoint in order to share with you guys what I want to share with you today. So what I want to start with today is just thinking about weight loss can really bring anxiety to some people. It's not a walk on the beach, it's a roller coaster for a lot of people. And as that, they get frustrated because, a lot of the people that I work with, they have their ups, they have their downs, and they have, depending on what stage of life they're in, they are always, changing what they have to do in order to maintain their weight. So I'm no different. I had the same experience as a young person growing up, young lady. I didn't have any issues with weight. And then I got married, and then I had my first child. I got pregnant, and my weight just, it didn't get too bad, but it was, after I had my first child, I had a really hard time losing weight. So I don't know if you guys have ever seen this show or heard of the show Fit to Fat to Fit. So basically it's about trainers who are fit and then they gain weight, get out of shape, and then with a client they get back into shape. And so I kind of had my own Fit to Fat to Fit journey, but it was more like fit to fat to fit to fat to fit to fat to fit. So it was a little bit longer than just, a couple times. So I exercised after my first son, because when you think of weight management and weight control, weight loss, or anything like that, a couple things always pop into mind first, right? What would be those two things that would pop into mind? Nutrition and exercise, right? So I felt like I had my nutrition down pretty well. I had grown up, in a very health-conscious family, so I decided, let me just get back on the exercise bandwagon. So I would work out and exercise. I did Tae-Bo with Billy Blanks on the video, and tried a bunch of different things, and really not a lot of change. And at the same time, I had a lot of stress going on in my life. My son, my brand new son, turned out that he was special needs, and so dealing with all the health issues and doctor's appointments and the fact that my husband and I had only been married for about a year now, just all these changes brought on a lot of stress. And so time moved on. I didn't see a whole lot of change in my weight, and so I ended up getting pregnant again. And this time I did a lot of things differently. I ate better, I exercised throughout my pregnancy, and after I had my baby, my second beautiful little girl, I lost a lot of weight and I was able to exercise. My stress level was pretty low. Things were going pretty well in my life, and so then I got pregnant again with my third and my final child. And I had a little boy, and with my youngest son, I gained a lot of weight. Like, my heaviest weight with my son when I was pregnant with him was, I believe, 190. And I'm only 5 feet tall. So being 190 and 5 feet tall is not comfortable at all. So after I had my son, I was like, okay, the science shows that, when you have extra abdominal fat and things like that, you have disease, cancer, diabetes, and all these other metabolic syndrome diseases. So I was like, I want to be around for my kids. And at this point, I believe I was only like 25. So, most of my, between 21 and 25 or 26, I had this huge weight fluctuation, and I was uncomfortable. So I got back on the exercise bandwagon. Again, I thought I was doing pretty good with my nutrition. My stress level was moderate now. It had gone up. I had 3 little kids, 1 special needs kid, and all these things just in my life, right? But I got exercising, And I got down pretty well, you know, but I thought, you know, I'll never be able to get back to my pre-pregnancy weight from my first son. So I needed some motivation. So I decided to join a competition. And this competition started in February of 2013. So 2013, I'm ready to do whatever it takes. I needed that motivation, that accountability. So I joined a fitness competition. And in the first month, I lost like 5 pounds, and I was so excited. But then the next month, I gained like 2 or 3 more pounds, and then I just stayed there all the way until May. Well, May came along, and I decided, you know what? I'm gonna just try nutrition. Like, I had been exercising every single day and, you know, doing this. I tried juice cleanses and everything, and nothing was working. So I was like, okay, something needs to change. So in May, I spent some time doing some research and reading some books. And in June, I implemented a new nutrition regime, whatever. And by August of that same year, so I started in June, by August, I was already down 13 pounds. So I quit working out because I was like, okay, I'm gonna experiment on myself. Am I gonna lose this weight just by exercise or just by nutrition, or is it a combination? What's going on? So quit working out because I wanted to see if it was just nutrition. With just changing nutrition, by November of that year, I was back down to a size 3/4 that I had originally been before I got pregnant with my first kid, which I thought I would never ever see again. And I ended up winning the competition, so that was fun. I had some slides here to show you of my progress, but that's okay. So what I want to point out here is when we talk about weight management, there are some basic ideas, and that is the idea of energy balance. So energy balance is basically, let's see if I can, the amount of energy the body uses or absorbs minus the amount of energy that it excretes or uses. So this is simply, half of my notes are gone here. So anyways, so this is the most simplified explanation of weight management. So whatever energy is coming in versus whatever energy is going out, right? So you have all types of energy. Like we just heard Brian talking about, you know, the energy that he was eating was all being stored rather than being used for, you know, whatever his body needed to use energy for. There are several factors that affect the energy in. So some of those factors are digestion, stored energy in food, and then also the type of energy in the stored food. Let me see if I can make this smaller. Or maybe, Dr. Minami, can you? I can't see the.
There's more up there.
No, just more over here. That's okay. I can leave it like this. That's fine. Perfect. Right there.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Is that okay?
Yeah. Thank you. Oh, right there's good. Just you can leave it like that. Perfect. Thank you so much. So let's go ahead and. Okay, there we go. Now I can read my notes here. All right, so factors that affect energy in are digestion, stored energy in food, and absorption. So if you are not able to digest your food well, you're not going to be getting the energy that you need. If you're not able to absorb your food well, you're not going to be getting the energy that you need. And, depending on what you're eating, whether it's, a salad versus a cheeseburger, the nutrients and the stored energy in the cheeseburger is going to be different than the salad. Many factors affect the energy out as well. So things like your resting metabolic rate, which is the energy that you burn just while you're sitting there. So to keep your heart beating, keep your blood pumping, to keep your brain working, things like this. So that's your resting metabolic rate. Another factor that affects it is the thermic effect of food. So how much energy does that food give off for your body to use? Then we have purposeful activity, so which would be like your planned workouts, whether it's walking or whatever. We're going to get into that a little bit later. And then your non-exercise physical activity. So walking up the stairs, carrying your laundry basket, things like that. So all these things affect how our body uses energy and gets energy. So there are 4 main areas to look at when we are talking about weight management. So one of them is nutrition, exercise, rest and recovery, and stress balance. So we're going to talk a little bit about each of those in just a minute. But first, I want to give you guys an opportunity to ask any questions that you may have. Just feel free to just pop it right into, if you're on Zoom, pop it into the chat there. If you're listening on YouTube, you can go to your email, and you can email us any questions that you might have over what we've talked about today. And that email address is stepstohealthchewelah@gmail.com. Stepstohealthchewelah. Chewelah is spelled CHEWELAH@gmail.com. So do we have any questions, either from our live audience or from Zoom or email? So the question is, what is my favorite type of exercise? That's a really good question. For me personally, I like to play. So whatever is fun and engaging for me. So I like playing pickleball. I like playing tennis. I like going for walks. I like hiking. So I guess it's hard to just pick one. Any other questions? All right. The optimal time to exercise is a great question, and we're going to get back to that as soon as we come back. But right now we're going to go over to Laura Lee, sorry. Laura Lee is a registered dietitian, and she's going to be showing us how to make tofu tacos. I love tacos. Who doesn't love tacos, right? Tofu tacos, I'm so excited. I didn't get lunch before I came, so I'm really hungry. So all this food over here smells amazing, and my stomach is growling. I'm really hungry. But anyways, a really fun fact about Laura Lee is she has grown up vegetarian. She's been vegetarian her whole life. So I'm expecting her to be able to make these tacos just amazing. So we are just getting ready to have some great tacos now.
All right, well, thank you very much, Hannah. So this is actually a recipe that was sent to me by a friend, and the reason I really wanted to demonstrate this today is to show you how easy it can be to take a recipe you already love, but convert it into something that is more plant-based. So this recipe is called Spicy Fish Tacos with Cabbage Slaw and Lime Crema, and it comes from the website foodess.com. So the first thing that we're going to do is start with tofu, and I like to buy organic tofu. When you buy a package, the easiest way to open it is hold it over a sink, because there's usually some water inside. Take a knife and just go slit, slit, pull it back. Once you've done that, I always like to rinse my tofu, and then I also like to let it stand for a while, because that is going to allow some of the extra juice or liquid to fall off. So the first thing I'm going to do is take my tofu, and this is actually a firm or an extra firm tofu. You don't want to have a soft or a silken tofu because it won't hold up for this recipe. So it's very easy. You just cut it into different slices. And then once you've cut it into slices, just flip it, cut it again, until you end up with just some very small little chunks. And I'm just going to put this in here. And I'll chop the rest up properly later on. So once we have done that, it's time to add the spices or the herbs that we want to use. And the original recipe, as I said, calls for fish. But what I've done with this is just substitute the tofu, and then I'll add all of the same spices that the original recipe called for. So here I have 2 teaspoons of paprika. I also have half a teaspoon of cayenne. Now cayenne is very hot and spicy, so if you don't like spicy foods, I would suggest you leave this out. And if you don't like it as spicy as this, you can always just put even less than this. I don't mind the spice, so I will use the cayenne there. I also have 1 teaspoon of garlic powder that I will add to this. And I will also add in 1 teaspoon of ground cumin. In addition to that, the original recipe calls for canola oil. You can choose to use this. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Personally, I don't find it makes too much difference. And again, we're talking about weight loss, and oil is very high in calories. So then all I will do is mix it together. And then I will bake it. And if you have a baking sheet, if you have parchment paper, it makes cleanup so much easier. So once this is done, I'll put the parchment paper on my baking sheet and put it in the oven for 30 minutes. And during that 30 minutes, once or twice, I'll just kind of flip it over so that everything will get cooked evenly. And then when it's done, this here is what it looks like once it's finally cooked. Now, one thing I should mention about soy products is, you know, according to the Harvard School of Natural Health, it's a good source of vitamins B and K, magnesium, a little bit of fiber, and it also contains phytoestrogens, which can be very helpful. And an additional thing that's really nice about tofu, or soy products as a whole, is that they're a complete protein. And what that means is that the tofu contains all 9 essential amino acids that we must get from our diet because our body cannot make them. Additionally, according to Medical News Today, soy products have been shown to lower LDL. It also contains genistein, which has been shown to help inhibit cancer as well. For women who are postmenopausal, soy products have been shown to actually decrease bone loss and increase bone mineral density. For women who are going through menopause, it might also help with hot flashes as well. So this is the first part, our spicy tofu rather than the fish. So the next thing that we're going to do after this is make our cabbage slaw. So cabbage is actually one of the oldest cultivated vegetables. It was cultivated as long as 1600 years ago. Sorry, not 1600 years ago, in the 1600s. And what's great about cabbage is that you can find it in the grocery stores year-round. Now, cabbage is a cruciferous vegetable. And what's really great about cruciferous vegetables is that it can lower our risk for cancer. Additionally, it contains sulforaphane and apigenin, which are those cancer-fighting compounds. And if you use red cabbage, that also contains anthocyanin, which is another cancer-fighting compound. So with the cabbage, you can see here I have 4 cups of cabbage that I've already chopped. I also have here 3 tablespoons of lemon juice. Now the original recipe calls for vinegar. I prefer using lemon juice because vinegar can actually damage that delicate lining of our intestinal tract, And vinegar has also been shown to delay the rate at which our stomach empties. So we'll add the lemon juice. I've also got some green onions, and it calls for 2 green onions that have been chopped. I also am adding some cilantro. Now, I realize not everybody likes cilantro. Personally, I love it, so I'll choose to add it. This is what it looks like. It sort of looks like a parsley, but it's got a very distinct taste. I also love cilantro if it's added to cooked beans. And the first time I ever had it was when I was on a mission trip to Mexico. To this, we're also going to add about 1 teaspoon of salt. And we're going to add, actually that was my sugar. We'll add 2 teaspoons of sugar and just 1 teaspoon of salt. Now, one thing you want to do with this is you want to make the cabbage slaw about probably 30 minutes before you want to serve it. The reason being is that as it sits, the cabbage becomes a little bit softer. So during that 30 minutes, I'll just occasionally come across and give it a good toss so that it has that really nice texture and consistency when I want to do it. Now, one thing I did forget to add is my garlic. And having a good garlic press makes such a difference. I had left my garlic press at a friend's place, and so I thought, well, I'll just go buy another one to use temporarily until I get this back, because, you know, I could use it. Well, I ended up buying one, and first off, when I put the clove in, I thought I was going to break the garlic press, and then secondly, all it did was crush it. It didn't actually mince it. So we'll just toss that garlic in here as well. Now, garlic has been used for many years. In fact, 5,000 years ago with the Giza pyramids, they used it. Hippocrates, who was an ancient Greek physician, he used garlic for a lot of different conditions and ailments. I looked at one scientific article, and it said quite a bit that garlic can do. They said it can lower blood pressure, as well as to reduce cholesterol and triglycerides. And again, garlic also has a lot of potent bioactive compounds which might reduce your risk of cancer. Additionally, it's antibacterial, antiprotozoal, antifungal, and possibly might also be antiviral as well. Now, one thing about garlic I should mention. When it comes to garlic's health-promoting qualities, it's primarily due to a compound called allicin. Now, in order to get maximum allicin production, it's important that you either chop garlic or you mince it like I did with my garlic press, and then you let it just kind of wait for 5 to 10 minutes before you eat it or before you add it to a cooked dish. And by allowing it to wait, that gives that maximum allicin production that we want. So now that we've got the cabbage slaw, our next thing is going to be to make the lime crema. And this is, again, where it's so easy to substitute plant-based versions for regular versions. So in my first little thing here, I have plant-based sour cream. And this is the Tofutti brand. It's the sour cream that I like the best. If you don't want to use this, there are other versions. I will say they're not all created equal. So when you do explore with different things, feel free to experiment and see what you like best. So I've used the Tofutti. I have also got some plant-based mayonnaise. Now, you can use something called Vegenaise. Vegenaise you find in the refrigerated section, and it tastes good. I do like it. Recently, I've come across a different one called made by Best Foods, and you find that particular mayonnaise where you would find the regular mayonnaise on the shelves, but it will say Best Foods vegan mayonnaise. And that does taste a little more like what most people are familiar with. So we'll just mix these two together. So another thing that we need is lime, and it calls for lime zest. And this is actually a zester. In fact, I think it's probably also known as a plane if you're in woodworking. It works great. All you do is rub it back and forth over the lime zest here. And you can see it's starting to make very fine zest. And what's nice about this particular one, it's got a little bit of a lid, so lip on it, so it just holds it, and then all I'll do is knock it off. So for the original thing, I will zest the whole thing, but then you also want to add the juice and zest of one lime. Now, I have a juicer here, a little handheld one, and I love this thing. You can get it in different sizes. Personally, I find the lemon size is probably better than the lime size, because you can use slightly larger limes or lemons. I've seen it in an orange-sized one, but I think that's probably a little overkill. If I'm going to do orange juice, this is going to take way too long. So now that I've cut it, you'll notice that I've got holes on the bottom of it. I will put this cut side down, and then all I do is take it and press it together. And you can see that the juice is just starting to come out. Now, for the sake of time, I won't do the other one, but I find the best way to mix this is with a fork. And then you just kind of squish it together and mix it until it makes a really nice cream. Now, one thing with this, depending on the size of your lime, you might find that you get different consistencies in the cream. So with this, it's made kind of a thick cream, and sometimes I'll leave it as a thick cream and then I'll just spread it on my tortilla. But really, if I've got people coming over, sometimes I'll just add some water to it to make it a little bit thinner, and that way I can actually drizzle it on as well. Now, when it comes to the tortilla part, I have a tortilla warmer, which I really like. I'll put a bunch of tortillas in here, depending on how many. I'll put it in the microwave for 1 or 2 minutes. And what's nice is I can take out a few and then put the lid back on, and it keeps everything nice and warm. Another thing you could do if you don't want corn tortillas is just use plain, regular wheat tortillas. These are organic ones that come from the local Safeway. If you don't have a tortilla warmer like I do, and you want to make a gluten-free thing, you can use either a microwavable plate, put about 5 of them on, cover it with a damp cloth, and then put it in the microwave for 30 seconds. Or you can use either a dry skillet or a griddle, and then you just put it on and you let it heat up for about 30 seconds on each side. That warmth, what it will do is it kind of softens the whole tortilla. You can't really fold it in half unless you have softened it. So this is just warming up, but I'm going to just pretend, for the sake of time, that it is already warm. I can feel that it's warming up. But again, if you do it this way, it's going to take a lot longer than using the microwave, just because you can only do one of them at a time. So what you'll do is you'll put it on a plate. Then you will take, let me grab a spoon here, some of the cooked tofu. Now, with the cooked tofu, I've had it served warm. I've also had it served cold, and I'm perfectly fine with it either way. Next, I'm going to take some of this cabbage slaw, and I don't know if you can tell already, but it's already starting to soften just a little bit. Again, it hasn't been 30 minutes yet, but then I will take this and I will put this on top of here. And then all you do is you take your cream, and if you want it as a cream, again, you would drizzle it. Because I haven't done that, I'm just going to leave it thick. And then all you do is flip it and enjoy. So again, this makes a very light supper if you're not particularly hungry, but it is so good. And again, you already have recipes that you love. If there's any way that you can make simple substitutions like I did with this, substituting the tofu for the fish, or substituting either the tofuti plant-based sour cream or the vegan mayonnaise, I get all the flavor of the recipe I like, but I've made it plant-based. So are there any questions? If not, we'll send it back over to Hannah. If you think of some questions later, please do feel free to write to us at stepstohealthchewelah@gmail.com, and we'll be happy to answer that. And now Hannah will continue her story.
Thank you, Laura Lee. That was amazing. And the smells, oh my goodness. I am so hungry. I cannot wait to try these one day. They smell amazing, guys. If you were here in the studio, your mouth would be watering. All right. So we are going to continue with our talk on weight management. We're continuing on with nutrition. So oftentimes when we think of nutrition, we think of what to eat. We think about, oh, I need to eat more vegetables, or I need to eat less pre-packaged foods, or things like that. Well, I want to kind of talk to you a little bit about something different when it comes to nutrition. So I want to talk to you about nutritional foundational habits. And this, I think, may even be a little bit more, I can't say it's more important, but it's just as important as what you eat. How you eat is just as important. All right, so first of all, with anything we talk about, consistency is key. So it doesn't matter what you're doing or how you're doing it. If you're not being consistent with it, you're not going to get the results that you want. So make sure to keep that in front of your mind. Consistency is key. All right, so the first habit that I want to talk about is eating slowly. Now, eating slowly seems like a simple, insignificant thing, but it's actually huge, because remember, we're talking about energy balance in the body, right? So when you eat slowly, you slow everything down, you're going to end up eating less. It takes about 20 minutes for your brain to get the signal that you are satisfied. And if you're eating really fast, in 20 minutes, you can put in a lot of energy that your body isn't going to use, and it's just going to store for later use. And so slowing down, taking about 15 to 20 minutes to eat your food, helps to naturally control your energy intake or your calorie intake. So without having to bust out the calculator or the food scale or anything like that, you can, bring your energy that you're putting into your body lower, so that way you can manage your weight. All right, so a few tips for eating slowly. What you want to do is time your meals. Don't change anything about it. Just time your meals. Get a good baseline for about how long it takes you to eat a meal. If it takes you 5 minutes to eat a meal, then all right, write that down. If it takes you 10, write that down. It doesn't matter if it's fast or slow. Just time yourself and get a baseline. All right, next you want to set a small goal to help you slow things down. So if you're taking about 5 minutes to eat, maybe you might make a goal of stretching it out for 6 minutes or 7 minutes, or if you're really brave, go for 10 minutes. But just a small goal. Small steps add up to large rewards. Another thing you can do is just breathe between your bites. Put your utensil down and just notice the smells, the look of your food, the taste, and just really enjoy it. Another thing is just eating smaller bites. So you can use smaller utensils, instead of using the big spoon, use the little spoon, and you'll eat smaller bites, and that will help to slow you down as well. Chew longer. My dad would always tell me, you need to chew 32 times with each bite you take, one for each tooth, right? So take your time, slow it down, chew a little bit longer. That's also going to help you digest your food better. It's going to help break it down. Did you know that about 20% of your carbohydrates are broken down in your mouth? So I thought that was a really interesting fact when I found that out. So take your time to really chew your food, break it down so when it goes into your digestive system, it's much easier for your digestive system to absorb those things. And last but not least of my tips for you today is conversate. Have conversations. Have someone sitting there with you at lunch, at dinner, or breakfast, and take time and talk with them. This helps a lot. I know oftentimes when we're eating with other people, I'll eat a lot less just because I'm talking a lot more and I'm eating slowly. And so in 20 minutes, my brain tells me, okay, I'm satisfied, and I might still have food on my plate. Restaurants serve big portions, right? So take time to conversate and have conversation while you're eating. The next So that was eating slowly. The next foundational habit is stopping when you're 80% full or satisfied. Now, this might seem like an easy thing to do, but it's not sometimes. Sometimes it's really hard. Sometimes the food is really good, or you've been really, really hungry like I am today. I probably won't take 20 minutes to eat my food today. I'll probably scarf it down and regret it later because my stomach will be all full, right? But taking the time, eating slowly, that's going to help you also recognize when you start feeling full, start feeling satisfied. So a couple things to help you do this is, number one, don't wait until you're starving to eat. You know, when you're feeling mild to moderately hungry, go ahead and eat your meal. That way you're not going to be wanting to just kind of stuff everything in. Get rid of your distractions if you can. You know, move away from the TV, go sit at the table, put your phone down. I remember, you know, talking about distractions. One time my daughter and I were going to have a date, and she wanted some ice cream, so we went and got some ice cream, and then we were going to watch a movie. So we sat down with the ice cream in front of the TV, and we watched the movie, and out of the whole quart, we probably ate 3/4 of it. And just, we weren't even paying attention, just mindlessly eating. So, you know, get rid of those distractions whenever you can. Of course, you know, we live real lives in the real world, and so we don't always have the luxury of, you know, eating a distraction-free meal. But when you can, do it. It's okay to not eat everything on your plate. Your mom's not there, it's okay. What you can do is save the rest for later. You go out to a restaurant, ask for a to-go box and have them put half of the food away for you to take it home instead of trying to eat it all at once. It's okay to take food home and eat leftovers. Use smaller plates or bowls or cups or just things to help you get those portions down a little bit. So when you feel full, feel satisfied, stop. And if you're not sure if you're quite full, I've been here where you've gotten to the place where you're like, well, I don't know. Am I still hungry or am I satisfied? So give yourself about 10 minutes and then ask yourself again, you know, am I still feeling hungry? If after 10 minutes you're still feeling hungry, go ahead, add a little bit more. If after 10 minutes you're feeling satisfied and you're good to go, then you didn't need those extra calories. So we've talked about eating slowly. We've talked about eating until you're satisfied. And the last one that I'm going to talk to you about today is understanding the difference between appetite and hunger. So hunger is a physiological need. So this is your body telling you, I need some energy. So you're going to feel physical sensations when you're hungry. So you might have a growling stomach, or you might get a mild headache. You know, maybe you get a little bit shaky as your blood sugar drops. You might have low energy. Maybe you get a little bit of brain fog. These are all physical signs that your body needs some energy. Now, the difference between hunger and appetite is a psychological want. So appetite can be triggered by many different things. So it can be triggered by external cues, such as smelling something. Now, if I had already eaten and I came here and smelled all this wonderful food, you know, that might trigger my appetite. I might think, oh, well, maybe I would still like something to eat, but I'm not physically hungry, so it's a psychological want. Sight, smell, advertising. This is huge. You're driving down the road and, you know, you see your favorite restaurant and the sign for it. Oh, I'm feeling a little bit hungry now. When there's appealing food available. When you go somewhere and you see some food that really looks good, even though you've just eaten like an hour or two ago and your body isn't asking for more energy, this is appetite calling to you. Thoughts and feelings can also trigger appetite. So you might be looking for a way to numb yourself or to distract yourself. Maybe you're bored. Maybe you're tired. Perhaps you're sad. Sometimes you even want to continue pleasant emotions. People use food oftentimes to help navigate those emotions. So that's going to be appetite. So all these things are triggering your appetite. Situational obligations such as social events or meal times. So, well, it's 12 o'clock, so I got to eat my lunch now. Listen to your body. Learn to listen to your body. God made our bodies so smart, and He put in us what we need. And when we listen to what our bodies are telling us, we avoid a lot of problems. Another thing that can trigger appetite is our hormones, especially in women, where women are going through their menstrual cycle or through menopause or they're pregnant or postpartum. All these things play an appetite both on hunger and play a number on appetite, both appetite and hunger. There we go. All right. So a couple tips to help you determine whether it's appetite or hunger. You can ask yourself, am I hungry enough to eat just a plain meal? Like, am I hungry enough to have like broccoli and tofu? Or do I want something more? If you're hungry enough for broccoli and tofu, then you are hungry. If you want more of things like cookies and ice cream or something, then it's appetite, right? Drink a glass of water. Sometimes we mistake hunger feelings for thirst. So drink a glass of water and check back in with yourself in a little bit. Am I still feeling hungry, or was it just a little bit dehydrated? Am I tired? Do I need a break? Oftentimes when we're tired and we've been going, we interpret that as being hungry when all we need is maybe like a 5, 10, 15-minute nap real quick, or just a little break. Go out for a little walk sometimes to distract yourself. Give yourself, once you start feeling like you're hungry, give yourself, some time to actually see if that really is hunger or if it is appetite. Take a walk, talk to somebody, write in a journal. Notice what's going on around you. Is it stressful? And maybe this is triggering you to want to eat. And just really making sure you understand, is this a need, a want, or a feeling like I should eat? So is this a physiological need that's going on? Am I feeling emptiness in my stomach? Am I feeling a little bit tired? Am I hearing growling going on? Am I just wanting some of that good food? Or am I feeling like I should eat? Okay, so these are a couple things that you can look at in your life to see if it's hunger or appetite. Okay, so nutrition, we talked about 3 main things: eating slowly, eating until you're satisfied, and recognizing the difference between hunger and appetite. All right, the next thing we're going to talk about is exercise. So exercise is another component to weight management. As we move, we use energy, which helps us to create an energy deficit. So going back again to that energy balance, right? Building muscle mass helps us to use more energy. So including resistance training exercises into, about 2-3 times a week would be very beneficial, building up the muscle mass. So there's many other benefits to building muscle mass, but today we're focusing on weight management. So I want to talk to you about a few common myths around exercise. One of the first things that I want to talk to you about here is feeling sore after exercise is not a good indicator of how hard you worked. All right, so many people think, well, if I don't have that soreness a day or 2 later, I didn't work hard enough. Well, that's just not true. That oftentimes is just your body saying you are not recovering well. So there's other issues going on there. So being sore isn't necessarily a byproduct of exercise. It shouldn't necessarily be a byproduct of exercise. Another myth is I have to go to the gym to work out. If I don't go to the gym, I'm not working out. going to the gym is an option, movement is not an option. So what we want to focus on is movement, moving our bodies, and that can be walking, gardening, playing with the kids, playing with the grandkids. It can be a bunch of different things. It doesn't have to be lifting weights at the gym. So that's another common myth. The third one that I want to talk about today is, have you guys ever seen any fitness shows or maybe you've seen a trainer somewhere taking a client and really pushing them, come on, you got this, yelling in their ear, keep going, keep going, keep going. And they're like, I can't keep going. Okay, so it's okay to listen to your body and to know how hard to push yourself. There's a balance, between pushing yourself too hard and not pushing yourself enough. So finding that balance that works right for you. It's going to be different for everybody, and that's okay. So finding the one that works right for you, where you're pushing yourself a little bit more each time, but not to the point of just complete exhaustion. The last myth that I want to talk about today is the myth that all or nothing. If I'm not doing it all, I'm not going to do anything. So this is a mindset, actually. We have a growth mindset and a fixed mindset. So the growth mindset says, okay, I didn't get my workout in today. Well, that's a bummer, but tomorrow I'm going to get it in. I didn't get my walk in today, or I didn't get it this morning. Well, okay, I'll go later today. Whereas a fixed mindset is, I didn't get my walk in today. I didn't get my workout today. You know what? I give up. I'm done. I can't do this. So growth versus fixed is really important, not just in exercise, but in all aspects of life. So having the ability to think on a continuum makes a big difference. So I know there's been days where I can't, just because my schedule is so busy, I can't get in a full workout that I would normally get in on the day. So what do? Do I say I'm going to skip it for today? Sometimes I tell myself that's what I want to do, but no, remember, consistency is key, right? So keeping that consistency going is what's going to you're going to start seeing success by being consistent. So I will take my workout and maybe I'll go through it once instead of twice. Or I might find some other movements to do for 5 minutes. Even if I'm moving for 5 minutes a day, that's better than no movement at all, right? So if you think on a continuum where I'm going to just do a little bit better today than I did yesterday, I'm going to do a little bit better today than I did last week, and just move up that continuum little by little. So if you are coming to the table with exercise on your mind and thinking, I can exercise, or I can't exercise based on my energy level. There's some days where you wake up and you don't have the energy that you had the day before, right? So take everything into consideration, listen to your body, and exercise accordingly. The next part, so we've talked about 2 of the 4 steps now of weight management. So nutrition, exercise. The next one is, I'm going to combine them, the next 2 actually, because they kind of go hand in hand, I feel. Rest, recovery, and stress balance. So sleep is huge for weight control. When we don't get enough sleep, our frontal lobes don't function properly. And so we end up making really bad decisions sometimes. So maybe you had a late night, maybe you're a parent and your kid was up throwing up all night and you didn't get the sleep. You have to go to work the next morning. You wake up and you're already feeling tired, so you're kind of grumpy and you just want to get out of the house and get to work, right? You grab a bowl of Lucky Charms, put it down, put some milk in, eat it all up, rush out the door. Okay, so already you're not eating slowly. You're eating foods that are not going to give you the energy that you need So right off the bat, you're already starting to make decisions that are going to set you up for just a downward spiral later on. But you can always choose to come back, right? We have that mindset. So maybe for lunch, you're like, you know what? This morning it was not that great, so I'm going to do a salad for lunch or something like that, right? So we can get back on track. A couple things. So making sure that you get not only enough sleep, but good quality sleep is important. So ideally, you want to get 7 to 9 hours per night. Now you're going to have to figure that out for yourself. For everyone, it's a little bit different. But here are some things that you can ask yourself. Here are some questions that you can take an inventory of your sleep, just to kind of see where you're at. So you can ask yourself things like, what time do I go to bed? When I wake up? How rested and refreshed do I feel when I wake up? How is my energy throughout the day? Am I experiencing increased hunger or cravings or appetite the next day? How is your willpower? How's my willpower the next day after my sleep? How do I feel when I go to work out or exercise the following day? Am I energetic, or am I kind of like dragging myself? So these are a couple things that you can use to kind of see where you are. Am I getting quality sleep? Am I getting enough sleep? Things like this. And then if you find yourself saying that you're going to bed too late, or waking up too late, or you're not rested and refreshed when you wake up, or you're just kind of dragging throughout the day, you're experiencing more cravings, and your hunger is through the roof, or your appetite is really bothering you, you just don't have the willpower to say no and stick with it, or you're just feeling like, oh, I don't want to work out today, it's time to look at some ways to get some better sleep. So here are a few ideas for better sleep. Get some natural light in the morning. Morning time is when your body, getting that natural light is going to reset your circadian rhythm, and it's going to help you to sleep better later, when you go to bed that night. Cut back on caffeine and alcohol. These things are stimulants that keep you awake, keep your nervous system going, and you can't fall asleep. Shut down screens 1 hour before bed. If you're scrolling through Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or whatever, or YouTube, watching videos, 1 hour before you go to bed, turn that screen off. Don't watch movies before you go to bed. The blue light keeps our brains up. Another thing you can do is put your phone on airplane mode when it's time to start winding down for the night. Put up some blackout shades. If you have light coming in from neighbors or something like that, you can always invest in some blackout shades. They're not super expensive. You can find them at Walmart or Target or wherever, and just put them up. They make a big difference. Sleeping in dark makes a big difference. Read or write before you go to bed. Read a good book. I wouldn't suggest like a high energy book, you don't want to read a mystery or something before you go to bed. Keep your mind awake. But read a nice calming book. Write in your journal. These things kind of help bring our energy levels down and get us ready for bed. All right, take a relaxing hot shower or bath before you go to bed. All right, so those are some tips for better sleep. Now, let's talk about recovery and stress balance tips. Before we go there, I'd like to read a verse from the Bible that I absolutely love. And this helps me with stress relief, recovery, rest, things like this. It's in 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 7, and it says, "Give all your worries and cares to God, for he cares about you." So I think this is probably the biggest thing we can do for our stress and recovery, but there are also some practical tips that we can do as well. So first of all, find a hobby you enjoy. You know, do you like quilting? Do you like sewing? Do you like rock climbing? Find a hobby that you really enjoy. That's going to help to relieve some stress and help you kind of recover. Volunteer. Find a cause that you are passionate about and volunteer. It could be through your church or your community. You know, volunteering helps us to feel good, and all of these things come into play when we are talking about weight management because of the effects that it has on our hormones and our nervous system. And everything affects everything in our bodies. We're not compartmentalized. We are whole beings, body, mind, and spirit. So get a massage on a regular basis. I love getting massages. Take ownership of the role you play in organizing your life. You know, oftentimes we want to blame whatever happens in our life on circumstances and not take the responsibility. Take the responsibility and recognize what role you have to play in organizing your life. Spend some time outside every day. Being in nature is, even if you can't get outside, just looking at nature pictures actually makes a difference. Create some boundaries around screen time. Set timers on your screens. Pray, meditate, reflect as often as possible, and incorporate low-impact movement daily. So walking or hiking or biking or stretching, things like that, every single day. And the last tip that I have for you is step back and look at the big picture of your life and consider how your current stressors fit into it. You know, oftentimes when we talk about rest, we think about sleep, but there is more to rest than just sleep. You know, God knew our bodies would need to recover and rejuvenate, and without that recovery and rejuvenation process, it can affect our weight management. So he gave us a gift from the very beginning that not very many people take advantage of, which is really kind of sad because we live in a crazy, stressful world. And, you know, the gift that he gave us was the day of rest, Sabbath, the Sabbath day. And he gave it to us so that we could have those 24 hours to relax and just put away our laundry. You know, we don't have to worry about laundry. You don't have to worry about cooking. You don't have to worry about doing your taxes. You don't have to worry about so many things that you can worry about 6 days a week, right? He gave us the Sabbath to invite us to spend time with him and to relax and to enjoy nature. You know, and this is also a good time to bring those cares and worries to him. You know, he helps us with those things. So learning to de-stress, relax, sleep well, eat well, move well, and recover are all keys to good weight management. So I encourage you to choose one thing to practice. Don't try to do everything all at once, just one thing, and you'll start seeing a big difference in your life. So now I'm going to go ahead and open it up for some questions. And like I said before, if you are joining us on YouTube, you can email us your questions at stepstohealthchewelah@gmail.com. Again, that email address is stepstohealthchewelah@gmail.com. So do we have any questions? If you're on Zoom, feel free to type it in the chat, or from our live audience. Do we have any questions from our live audience? Yes?
We have tips on minimizing cravings.
Tips on minimizing cravings. That is a very good question. Sleep. Sleep will help with cravings. And recognizing, especially for women that are still having their cycles, just knowing where you are at in your cycle and recognizing that, you know, there are some parts of your cycle where you're going to have more cravings. I hope that answered your question. Any other questions? Do we have any questions on Zoom? Do I drink sleepy tea? Okay, so I'm assuming this is a question that goes along with the sleep. Yeah, sleepy teas, you know, I have it in my cupboard at home, and my youngest son loves to drink it actually. But yeah, I mean, that's definitely a nice way of relaxing. The only thing that I would think about that is if you're doing it too close to bedtime, you might have to get up during the night to use the restroom a lot, which would interrupt your sleep. So just one thing to consider. But yeah, I mean, sleepy teas, I love sleepy tea. Hope that answered your question. Any other questions?
How long does it take to kick in?
How long does the sleepy tea take to kick in? I think that depends on several factors. Number one, how your body metabolizes, how fast or slow your body metabolizes, how much food you have still left in your digestive system, a lot of different factors. So it's kind of hard, you know, it depends.
When do you take it, and when do you take it 2 hours before bedtime?
So for sleepy tea, you definitely want to take it when you're not wanting to get up and going and doing stuff. So, you know, you get home maybe after an hour after dinner, a couple hours before bed. That would, yeah. Any other questions? You guys got some good questions. All right, well, if you have any other questions or concerns, or if you want any of the recipes that we had demonstrated today, please reach out to us on the email at stepstohealthchewelah@gmail.com. And I want to invite you to join us next time in 2 weeks to discuss ways to combat heart disease. Now, Dr. Manami was a surgeon in Seattle for 26 years before he retired and moved out to the eastern part of Washington. And he specialized in operating on organs of the digestive system. Now, you might be asking yourself, okay, why is Dr. Manami, a surgeon, you know, specializing in organs of digestive system, going to talk about heart health and ways to combat, you know, heart disease? That's a good question. I really encourage you to tune in next time on February 14 at 3 p.m., which happens to be Valentine's Day, to find out what is the connection between your digestive system and heart disease. Very interested in hearing that one, so I hope you join us there. You're not going to want to miss that presentation. So again, February 14, 3 p.m. Don't miss Ways to Combat Heart Disease with Dr. A.G. Manami. All right. Well, I thank you guys so much for joining us today. And in closing, I'm going to ask Pastor Tello to come and have our closing prayer.
I think it's a perfect way to celebrate Valentine's Day by listening to a presentation of how to deal with heart disease and how to avoid heart disease. And so you don't want to miss that. That's going to be February 14th, 2021. At what time? You got it, 3 p.m. So thank you so much for joining us on this program of Steps to Health 2021. And we hope to see you soon next time here on this particular channel. Let's pray. Father, we thank you so much for the opportunity that you've granted us to be here. We're so thankful for your blessing tonight and for helping us to get through all the technical difficulties we faced. We pray a blessing over this program and over the people that will listen to it, that have listened to it and will listen to it later on. We thank you and praise you in the name of Christ. Amen.